Well, here we go again. Not much happening this morning in the markets, just nothing really going on. So yeah, thought I'd come on and do a quick stream, quick update, see where things are going. Hopefully, maybe find a trade or two, you never know. But I think what I'm going to do mainly today is just go over the FTMO stuff and set up another stream this afternoon, just have a probably a longer stream, more just a hangout, chill trade session, maybe get a bit more sort of bit of scalping around it and just see what's going to happen. But yeah, sort of quick overview of where we are with FTMO at the moment. So Monday was probably the last one I did this one. I had a trade on gold and that went against me, as well as a trade on euro went against. So a bit of a crappy day really, just over 1% loss. Yesterday, a couple of trades around that one, just getting back into the swing of it. Today's now Wednesday. So overall, this is now going to be the end of my week one with this FTMO challenge, which I'm really looking to get done as quick as possible. But as always, the objectives for this week was to scale into trades, don't rush it, don't try and complete the entire challenge in one day, because I know from previous experience it's always going to be difficult. And trying to get to the end of this week with a 1% gain. Currently I'm down probably about 0.2, just over 1/4% potentially. But as we know, things can turn around pretty quickly in this game, so there's no reason why I couldn't do a 1-2% trade today and get back onto my target and my objective. So let's go back to the charts. Got a couple of open trades at the moment. So I am short on the euro dollar. I'm now short on gold as of about 15-20 minutes ago. And I'm also long on Bitcoin. Let's go over those one at a time just to give indication why I am long on any of these. So if we take a slightly longer time frame out on Bitcoin as an example, we can see over the past couple of weeks it's been very volatile, really starting to become range bound between $30,000 and $40,000 per coin. Now, there's been a bit of negative news this week, and price came right down into that sort of zone where we're getting a lot of support and just pretty much buying off that support at the moment. And as of yesterday, I went long on Bitcoin. And again, if we go down to a slightly smaller time frame on an hour chart, we can now see we've got this kind of a reversal pattern. We've got pretty much a low. We've broken up the previous high, so we've got higher highs and now higher lows. We've got a fair bit of support coming in at sort of 32,500, and obviously price now continuing to go upwards. So that's my thinking around Bitcoin at the moment. I'm only in 0.25, so 1/4 of a coin, and my target is going to be up at 40,000. Now what I've done so far is, because I've managed to get a 900 point move, I've moved the stop loss to break even, so I'm now back into pretty much a no risk situation. Was very, very easily just let this run, and if it takes me up for a break even, then fine, I'll just let that run. Euro dollar, so this is what I'm looking at beginning of the week in pretty much a bearish signal. So this particular chart setup at the moment is with pivot points. So we can see as of today, it's been bouncing around the pivot point, getting a bit of support, and it's come up and now hit R1. Now statistically, it's likely to hit R1 80% of the time if we're in an uptrend, of which we kind of are, but it is kind of starting to taper off a little bit. So that's not unsurprising to hit those levels. Now I'm still expecting it to fall off from here at some point in this week. I got in probably a little bit early. I could have held on. If we go out slightly onto the hour chart, again, get a bit confusing. We've got pivot points on there, so I'll take those off. Change template. We still have kind of some downward pressure into these sort of trend lines. But as we know from non-farm payroll, end of last week, that obviously bounced right up, formed a bit of a flag pattern, came again, very much the same sort of thing. So it is, for me, starting to lose a bit of momentum. But that's really going to have to wait for get a confirmation at some point on this one. We really need to either react to some previous levels, whether it's going to be rejected on these previous highs. Let's just draw that in. So if it's going to get rejected around this level here, something in the 122 level. If it gets rejected there, price comes back down. If it breaks through 120, 150, then we can start to see price coming back down to which my target is set at the moment at 1.2. So it's a fairly standard setup for me. It's sort of literally looking at the reversal, going counter trend, and I've still got a 2-to-1 reward on it. So if it comes off, great. I'll make a sort of 1 to 2% market on that one. And the other one is gold. Gold's been really funny in the past couple of days. If we look at, again, I'll take the pivots off this. If we look at what gold has been doing on this particular chart, that's on a 15-minute candle. Once we had the big price surge at the end of last week, obviously it came off, that's why I went short, came back up, stopped out, that's fair enough. These things happen. We have to take the good and the bad. We don't always get the perfect trades. But what we're now seeing is price starting to slowly taper off. Yesterday was a really interesting day. If I just zoom in very, very quickly, there obviously was some news announcement around about 11, 12 o'clock yesterday, and price did spike up. Came up to 1903 and all the way back down very, very quickly to 1883. So there was a $20 spike pretty much within an hour, and then straight after that price just went sideways. It literally stayed within a $2 range for the entire day, just did absolutely nothing, which made it impossible to trade. So that's at that point, that's where I just cleared off and just did nothing. Whereas today prices showed a bit more of a weakness. We can see that it's now broken down through this range that it was stuck in. It's made a low. It hasn't broken back up through that range. It's now made a lower low, so therefore we're starting to form that sort of downward trend. Again, just put a trend line in just to show that. Again, I don't trade off of these, but it's more just for visual interpretation, just to see what's actually happening on the charts itself. So that gives me an area where once price starts coming back up to that level, I'll get interested again. But as we stand at the moment, I'm in a slight negative. It's only about half a point. So yeah, we'll just wait and see. Some people may argue I've got in too early and could have waited, but it's just luck of the draw. You see what you see on the charts. Does it fit all my criteria? Is it forming a new trend? Is it starting to go the direction I expect it to go to? Does it line up with the momentum? Yes, it does, and therefore I feel confident taking that trade. Now, based on my previous trade history this week, not been a great week, been some losing trades, so the confidence takes a bit of a knock, but you've got to pick yourself up from all these losing trades, get back in and just give it a go, because ultimately that's what we do. We set our risk management, we don't lose too much on a trade, and we come back and do another one. One that was quite interesting this week, and I probably feel a bit bad for potentially missing it, was FTSE has been bouncing around. It's been literally hitting this resistance line 1, 2, 3, 4 times now, and every time it's been rejected. Now, I'm pretty much sure I'm going to see some videos later in this week on YouTube, people saying, oh yeah, I set a lovely zone up here and price came straight in and rejected. I put my stop loss at 10 points away and I went and took 50 or 60 points and got a 5, 10 to 1 or whatever they're going to say on a reward. But for me, it's one of those trades that it often looks good after the event, and it's very easy to retrospectively come and say that's what I would have done. But as we say here, I'm pretty much a trend follower, and if I was to be shorting at the top, that's not really following a trend, that's just me taking a short-term scalp to price to come down. For me, I want to be seeing at this point price really start to break through above the 50 moving average, so 7055 on my chart here. It would be different depending on what charts you have. The broker gives slightly different prices on the indices depending on the futures market and where they're close to expiry, but they all effectively move the same. So for me, if price breaks up through that 50 moving average, then I'll be looking to take that long again with a target up to 71.90, so a 30 or 40 point move. And yeah, try and get as a tighter stop as possible just to see where we can actually make some profits. But as it stands at the moment, I'm just waiting on that particular FTSE to happen. If we again look back into the 15-minute chart, this is where we start to get a contradiction in time frames. So if we are literally looking at very, very short intraday trades, then if I'm looking at the 15 or the 5-minute chart, then this to me is a nice downward trend, and I'll be looking to quite happily short this now. But I know from the major trend, it's been a bit of a contradiction. So I want to try and get these aligning as much as I can, even if it's just the 5, 15 and the 1 hour. The 1 hour, again, is still a little bit of a mess. I'm just waiting for a few things to align up. Hopefully by this afternoon, it would have sorted itself out and I can start to get into some trades on the FTSE. It's one of my favourite ones to trade, but I haven't done much on it recently just because it's been a bit range bound and a bit sort of top heavy potentially. So yeah, if we look at the equity on the FTMO account, started with 70,000. Current equity is 69,780. So 210, 220 pounds down. So that's less than 0.5%, 0.25%. So I'm okay with where I'm right now. And say that potentially I've got 3 trades running. They could all bring in 2-3%, and that'll get me back onto target where I wanted to be. So yeah, it's just being in this long game and not rushing it to get into proving that I'm the greatest trader in the world and getting 10% in 2 days. Because ultimately, if you do that and rush it, then I find you don't build that strategy and that consistency to be able to get where you need to be in the longer term. Just a quick look on British pound. So that's 15-minute chart. Nothing really again setting up here that I can see. Got no continuation pattern, no reversal patterns, nothing. We are seeing price rejecting at 142. Again, if we zoom out a little bit into the 1 hour chart, this is where I potentially would sell if price came back up to 142, because we can see there's been 1, 2, 3. This one maybe not quite a rejection, it went up to 142.50, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish rejections at that sort of level. Now, when it's happened so many times, we could now say, okay, 142 is looking like a zone where there are a lot of sell orders coming in, a lot of potential for negativity in the market, potentially that the British pound to be overpriced or dollar is weak, depends what way you look at it. And that's where I can potentially now start to see some of the sellers come in once price gets back up to 142. So I'm just waiting on British pound. I don't want to jump in too quickly, only because I got caught out on the euro. And where I've got 3 trades open at the moment, and they're risking between, although I say Bitcoin is actually at break even, there's no risk. If you look at the other two, I'm risking 1.5% on those 2 trades. I'm risking 1% on the euro and just over 0.5% on gold. If I take another trade out, that's then me exposing up to 2.5% potentially. Now, as soon as you start having that number of trades open, the market, if it went against you very, very quickly and you're down 2.5-3% very, very quickly on your account, that takes a longer time to recover from. So at the moment, I'm not looking to add any more trades until I close one of these out, or at least get to break even, or it starts to go back in the direction I wanted to. Because at the moment, the euro is not going anywhere where I want it to. It's just bumbling around. Let's open that chart very, very quickly. As we can see, it's now coming up to this trend line. It's getting to the area where I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. So I'm not going to open any more trades because this could start to take off. And yeah, that sort of 1% risk I've got could easily be taken out. So as I said before, it's just managing the capital, managing the risk. And it's not very exciting. It's not very glamorous, only having a few trades open or not adding to the positions. So I'm just, as I say, waiting to see what's going to happen. So again, I do appreciate everyone joins into these very, very quick live streams. I know they're not the most exciting in the world, but it's always good to listen to somebody else talking rubbish and just get an idea of what's going on in their heads, an idea of what's going on in the market at that particular time. And I'm going to have a longer trading session this afternoon. I'm going to set up a stream probably about 2 o'clock, let it go for an hour, hour and a half, who knows. Just see who joins along, see who turns up. Yeah, maybe play some music in the background and just sort of have a chill out session and hopefully get a bit of chat going as well. Maybe some of these trades will come off by then, but as always, it's trying to cram some trades into a 15 minutes or half an hour live stream, which is almost impossible. And we know it takes a long time for these things to set up. So I might just sort of mix up a bit this afternoon, have a bit more fun, and do a bit of scalping here and there just to get the balance moving over on some of these trades. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'll wrap it up there. I'm just going to probably sit here for another couple of hours and just try and digest what's going on. Rubbish weather today. The rain's now coming down, so no chance of me getting to the beach or having a bit of outside time. But I'll just enjoy my time in front of the screens and try and relax as much as I can. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming on this stream today. Hopefully I'm going to have some more positive news by tomorrow that I've got a bit further on this FTMO challenge. But yeah, if you're able to join this afternoon, come and hang out, have a bit of a chill. Thanks everyone. I will catch up again soon. Cheers.